Choi was one of the biggest names in K-pop. He had fame, respect, money, everything most of us dream about. From the outside, his life seemed perfect. But was it really? Because behind that flawless image, things were not that simple. Being famous meant intense pressure and the constant fear of making even the smallest mistake. And for him, that pressure was building up, slowly, silently. Then one night, everything changed. A drug scandal hit headlines. In Korea, with zero tolerance for drugs, didn't hold back. People were angry, companies dropped him, and he lost his position as a star. But how could someone so successful throw it all away? And most importantly, could he ever make a comeback? Well, today we will discover his story and the brutal truth behind the K-pop industry. It's the mid-2000s. K-pop is starting to break out beyond South Korea, but it's still nowhere near the global phenomenon it is today. At the center of this rising wave is a new group, Big Bang. Fresh, edgy, unlike anything the industry had seen before. They weren't just another polished boy band, they were trendsetters, and one member in particular stood out from the rest, T.O.P. Born in 1987, Choi Seung-hyun wasn't your typical idol. He had a rare mix of confidence and mystery that made him unforgettable. With his deep, resonant voice,
"Hello, my name is Choi Seung-hyun, also known as T.O.P, from South Korea."
Sharp features and charisma, he quickly became a fan favorite. But what most people don't know, his journey to fame wasn't so smooth. It was full of rejection. Before he joined Big Bang, T.O.P was just a passionate teenager chasing a dream. He performed under the name Tempo in underground hip-hop scene, building a reputation for his raw talent. But for the first time, when he auditioned for a company behind Big Bang, he was hit with a brutal reality check. He wasn't idol material, not because he lacked skill, but because he didn't look the part. He was considered too overweight to be a K-pop star. For most, that kind of rejection would be the end of the road, but not for T.O.P. Instead of giving up, he took it as a challenge. He went home, pushed himself harder than ever, and transformed. Through determination, he lost a lot of weight in just a few months. Then he came back, stronger, sharper, and more motivated than ever. This time, YG didn't just accept him, he stood out. And soon, T.O.P would go from an underground rapper to a member of one of the most legendary K-pop groups of all time. When Big Bang debuted in 2006, it was clear this group was different. At the time, the K-pop industry was like a machine. Every group followed the same formula: flawless choreography, flawless visuals, flawless smiles. It looked perfect, but it also looked the same. Then came Big Bang, and something felt different. They didn't fit into the mold, they broke it. Their music wasn't just catchy, it had grit, a raw blend of hip-hop, R&B, and pop poured over lyrics that actually said something. It felt alive, unpolished, real. They had swagger, yes, but also soul. However, being different didn't make them famous right away. Their debut didn't make waves. Their early songs didn't top the charts. They had to fight for every bit of attention they got. While other groups were polished in the studios, Big Bang was grinding in the background. Most people didn't see it, didn't hear it, didn't care. Yet, something was building, quietly, and soon they would release a song that would change everything. A song that would light the fuse, and once it did, there was no going back. In 2007, a song called Lies turned them from underrated rookies into superstars, and suddenly, Big Bang were a phenomenon. This song literally defined an era of K-pop. They should have added this to the description. This song literally was the beginning of an era. Lies and Haru Haru is the greatest Big Bang song. From that moment on, their rise was unstoppable. Their next release only pushed them higher. Haru Haru followed, proving that Lies wasn't just a one-time viral thing. More chart-topping hits, more sold-out concerts, and before anyone could process it, Big Bang had become one of the biggest acts in K-pop. And at the heart of this revolution was T.O.P. Always unpredictable, effortlessly cool. But what the world saw was only the surface. Behind the cameras and roaring crowds, there was another side to the story. Big Bang's milestones were legendary, but the price of perfection was exhausting. The pressure was relentless. Schedules that left no room to relax, media scrutiny that never ended. Every move watched, every word analyzed. For someone like T.O.P., quiet, introspective, this was a headache. He played his role well, the cool, distant persona, the untouchable superstar, but behind that image, he was struggling, alone and slowly drowning in the pressure. There's something dangerous about pretending everything's fine for too long. Eventually, the mask gets heavy, too heavy, and for T.O.P, that moment, the moment everything shattered, was getting closer. By 2013, Big Bang had become one of the biggest K-pop groups in the world. From the outside, it was perfect. A dream life, fame, luxury, millions of fans. But dreams like this, they come with a cost, and most people have no idea how high that cost really is. Because being a K-pop idol is like walking on a super thin rope with the entire world watching, waiting for you to fall. Every step has to be perfect. Every move, every word, controlled, calculated, watched, and there is no net underneath. For T.O.P, this life was even harder than most. Even before he became famous, the world told him he wasn't enough. People said he was too heavy to be an idol. And when he did become famous, they still didn't stop. If he gained even a little weight, the headlines came out. Fans whispered, reporters criticized. No matter how hard he worked, it never felt like enough. And then there were the cameras. Always there, on stage, at airports, in restaurants. Even when he was just trying to exist, there was no escape. That's why T.O.P stayed away from social media. He avoided interviews. Instead, he found quiet in his art and antique collection, his way of surviving. But even that couldn't make the pressure go away. In 2015, Big Bang made a massive comeback with their Made album. The world was excited. The energy was huge. But something was different. T.O.P seemed distant. He smiled less. He spoke less. He started choosing acting and art over group activities. Films like Taza, The Hidden Card, and Out of Control gave him a space where he didn't have to be T.O.P. He could just act. Fans noticed. Some thought he was just being mysterious again, but others saw it. He looked tired, not physically, but emotionally. Behind the scenes, he was falling apart. He just didn't show it. The pressure, the judging, the non-stop spotlight became too much. And one day, it all caught up to him. Back in 2017, everything kind of just fell apart. In February, T.O.P had to start his military service, something every man in South Korea has to do. It doesn't matter if you're rich, famous, or even a superstar. When your time comes, you've gotta stop everything and serve for almost 2 years. For K-pop idols, that's a huge deal. Right when their careers are booming, they suddenly have to disappear. Fans wait, work stops, and the industry, it keeps going without them. Now, unlike most guys who go straight into the army, T.O.P got placed in the Seoul Police Band. That's a job that's usually given to celebrities or well-known people. Instead of doing the usual hard training, he performed at public events, dressed in uniform, singing, showing up for ceremonies. On the outside, it looked like a sweet deal. Less physical stuff, more public appearances, but honestly, it came with its own kind of pressure. Since he was in the public eye, one wrong move could turn into a huge mess. At first, it seemed like things were finally settling down. T.O.P had joined the military, he was following the rules, attending training, standing in formation. There were photos of him in uniform, saluting, singing national songs, blending in like everyone else. On the surface, he looked fine. Fans felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was good for him, a break from the idol life. Maybe this was his chance to breathe. But that was just the surface, because behind closed doors, he was barely holding it together. The military isn't just rules and routines. It's isolation, silence, no freedom. And for someone already burnt out, that kind of silence gets loud fast. Every day, the pressure tightened, until one day, it snapped. T.O.P was being investigated. He had used marijuana back in October 2016, right before joining the military. In South Korea, that's not just scandalous, it's career-ending. Because marijuana isn't seen like it is in other countries, it's not just weed. It's treated like a criminal offense. And when you're a K-pop idol, the consequences hit even harder. It wasn't just about breaking the law. It was about breaking trust with your fans. As soon as the story came out, everything exploded. Social media lit up. Some fans were shocked. Others were angry, even heartbroken. People called him selfish, said he was acting like a spoiled star who didn't care about his fans or his success. The headlines were brutal. They called him a disgrace. Commentators couldn't stop asking, why would someone who had everything risk it all for something like that? The military didn't waste any time. He was kicked out of the police band, lost his special position, and just like that, he went from being the guy representing the police to someone people looked at with disappointment. He was moved to a public service job, which is an easier type of military work, usually given to people who are sick or have problems. This new job was nothing like his old one. No more music, no more events, just quiet office work, away from the cameras. YG Entertainment quickly issued an apology, and T.O.P himself wrote a handwritten letter saying, "This is Choi Seung-hyun. First of all, I would like to sincerely apologize for causing causing great disappointment and disturbance with a huge wrongdoing. I am too ashamed of myself to stand in front of everyone for an apology. I have no excuses and feel very regretful and fearful, so I am carefully writing down these feelings as words. Our members, my agency, the public, my fans who have supported me, and my family. I have left an irreparable scar in everyone's hearts, so I believe I deserve to be punished. My heart aches, and I am also very ashamed of myself. I will meditate and reflect on my mistake again and again. I will never make such an irresponsible mistake again. Once more, I apologize for not being able to apologize to everyone personally. I will deeply repent my wrongdoing. I am very ashamed of myself. I apologize. But the damage was already done. People turned their backs on him. His military service got put on hold, and the court gave him a 10-month prison sentence. However, they say he didn't have to go to jail right away. He'd only have to go if he messed up again within the next 2 years. That kind of pressure, it crushed him. Just a few days after the news broke, on June 6th, 2017, something scary happened. T.O.P was found passed out in his room. He had taken too many sleeping pills. It wasn't clear if he meant to do it or not, but it was serious. He was rushed to the hospital, and the doctor said things didn't look good. For a while, no one knew if he was going to survive. Fans were in shock. They were scared. One minute they were angry, and the next they were terrified he might not make it. But this whole thing, it wasn't just about T.O.P. It showed something deeper, something that a lot of people don't talk about. Being a K-pop idol looks shiny from the outside, but that's not real. That's not human. Nobody can live like that forever, because no matter how famous you are, no matter how many fans you have, you're still just a person, and people break sometimes. So, how did he come back from this? And did he even want to? As time went on, T.O.P started to talk about how all of this really made him feel inside. In some interviews and on social media, he shared that it felt like falling into a deep, dark hole. He said it was full of guilt and shame, and it was really hard to carry. He admitted that he had made a bad choice because he was feeling weak and just wanted to escape. The pressure of being a K-pop star had gotten too heavy. One of the hardest things to hear was when T.O.P opened up about his mental health. He said that he had been dealing with depression and anxiety for a long time, even before the scandal. The pressure to always look perfect was too much. After everything went public, his sadness got even worse. He said it was the darkest time of his life. But something changed when he started being honest. Fans began to see him differently. Before, he always looked so cool, so confident, like nothing could touch him. But now, they saw the real person behind all of that. Just a human being with feelings, fears, and pain. His honesty made people talk more about how tough idol life really is, and how these stars need help too when they're hurting. At first, people were mad, but as time passed and more people heard what he had been going through, something shifted. Some started to feel for him. They realized that being famous doesn't mean life is easy. In fact, it can be a lot harder than it looks. Then in 2019, something important happened. T.O.P finished his military service. He didn't make a big deal about it. No press, no huge comeback. He just came back quietly, like someone who wanted to start fresh. He didn't jump straight into music either. Instead, he spent time on art, making music in private, and that made some fans respect him even more. It felt like he was really trying to grow. In South Korea, talking about mental health isn't always easy. A lot of people keep their problems hidden, scared of what others might say. But T.O.P speaking out changed that a little. His story got people talking. Some fans and mental health groups stood by him, saying idols deserve better support and that it's okay to not be okay. Still, not everyone was ready to forgive him. Some people felt like what he did was just too serious. They believed he should stay away from the music world for good. This really showed how different people think in South Korea. Some believe in strict rules and tough punishments, while others believe that everyone should get a second chance. While all of this was happening, Big Bang took a long break. But then, in 2020, when they were finally supposed to perform at Coachella, something was missing. T.O.P wasn't there. Later on, he shared that he didn't want to be an idol anymore. The scandal had changed how he felt about everything. He didn't want to go back to that world again. Instead, he followed a different path, one that made him feel more free. He turned his focus to art. He started full-time painting, making sculptures, and showing his work in exhibitions. Some of his pieces were even sold at big auctions. He wasn't chasing fame anymore, just doing what made him feel alive. Fans were left wondering, is this it? Is this his new life now? Would he ever step back on stage again? Or was that chapter closed for good? Well, not really, because soon he would make a comeback nobody was expecting. In 2022, Big Bang finally came back with a song called Still Life. Fans had been waiting for years. T.O.P was part of the song, but not long after he made a big announcement. He was leaving YG Entertainment. He said he still loved music, but he wanted to do things on his own terms now. He wasn't on stage anymore, but little pieces of his life started showing up online. On Instagram, he shared photos of his artwork and things that made him happy. Fans who were still following him could feel the change. He wasn't the stylish idol he used to be, but stepping away from the spotlight wasn't easy. He had spent years under bright lights, performing for huge crowds, living a life where every move was watched. And now, it was just him, alone. Sometimes, it felt like maybe he'd never return to the world of music or fame. For T.O.P, this chapter was about surviving. He had to figure out who he was without the stage, without the fans, without the spotlight. But through all that, T.O.P kept creating. His art became a mirror to his soul. Every painting told a quiet story of pain, but also of healing, of falling down, but still choosing to stand. Fans who really cared could see it. Even though he wasn't on stage anymore, he hadn't given up. And maybe that's the biggest message of all. Even when everything feels dark, there's still a way to keep going. Then came something no one saw coming. T.O.P was cast in Squid Game 2, one of the biggest Netflix shows in the world. For someone who had been quiet for so long, this felt like a huge moment. A lot of people saw it as his big return to the spotlight. The news spread fast. Fans were shocked. Critics were curious. After being away for years, stepping into a show like Squid Game wasn't just a comeback. It was a bold statement. But still, one big question hung in the air. Was he ready? For T.O.P, this wasn't about music anymore. This was a fresh start, a chance to show a different side of himself. As an actor, maybe, just maybe, this was the clean break he needed. A way to show the world that he wasn't just the guy from the scandal. He wanted to prove that he was more than his mistakes. But taking a chance like this comes with risk. A lot of people started asking, was this really a good idea? Would his role bring excitement or bring back controversy? Was this a comeback story or a move that could backfire? For T.O.P, the pressure was huge. If he did well in Squid Game 2, it could change everything. It might open doors again and help him rebuild his name. But if things didn't go well, or if the public still wasn't ready to forgive, it could be the end of his time in the spotlight. In December 2024, the second season of Squid Game finally came out. T.O.P played a character named Thanos, a rapper with drug problems. Right away, people noticed how close the role felt to his real life. The show's director, Hwang Dong-hyuk, said casting T.O.P wasn't an easy decision, but it was a brave one. He said T.O.P had guts. Playing a character who struggled with things so similar to your own past, that takes real courage. The director believed T.O.P gave it his all, but not everyone agreed. Some people didn't like his acting. They said he was in too many scenes and that it made the show hard to enjoy. One TV station, MBC, even said someone else, maybe a newer, more skilled actor, should have played the role instead. Even with the criticism, being in Squid Game was still a huge step. T.O.P was back in the world of entertainment after years of silence, and whether people liked his performance or not, his role started a bigger conversation. Should actors with painful, messy pasts get a second chance? And just like that, T.O.P was no longer hiding. He was in the center of the spotlight again, flawed, human, and still fighting for his place. Thanos was supposed to be obnoxious, and T.O.P absolutely nailed that. He did an amazing job, and all of these critics are massive hypocrites. As someone who comes from Canada and marijuana is legal, this is so extreme. He is treated worse than actual criminals. Mad respect to the director for keeping T.O.P in the casting. In conclusion, T.O.P once stood on the biggest stages in the world, where everything seemed perfect. And yet, one quiet night alone in his room nearly ended everything. Fast forward to today, and he's not that man anymore. No concerts, no screaming fans, no flawless image to protect. Just a guy in a quiet studio painting his thoughts onto art. He started at the top, fell all the way down, and now he's somewhere in between, walking a slower, lonelier path. But maybe that's not failure, maybe that's growth, because in the world that demands perfection, choosing to be real, messy, human might just be the bravest thing you can do. Back then, he wore a mask because he had to. Now, he takes off the mask because he wants to. So, has T.O.P really found peace? Or is this just a quiet before another storm? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, the next time you see an idol smiling on the stage, you might just wonder, what kind of war are they hiding behind that smile?